What is going on, everybody? Welcome into Clear the Ice. I am tonight's host, Big Al, alongside with your normal host, Matty B. Something's going on here at Clear the Ice at Edge of Philly, but tonight I'll be hosting. Matty B will be joining me. Um, we went for five. We didn't get five. All good things must come to an end, even a quick little streak from the Flyers. Um, it was sloppy play tonight, and when you play a team the caliber of the Montreal Leafs, Maple Leafs, you can't be sloppy. What's going on, Matty B?
Al, what's going on? How are you tonight?
Uh, Busy, having a great time. Two out of three of the Philly teams won tonight. Sixers won first against the Pistons. Eagles, of course, clinching the number one seed, getting the bye in the playoffs. Hopefully, they can get everything right and make a run to the Super Bowl. That would be amazing. But of course, the Flyers kind of had to be the letdown in a 6-2 loss, which was pretty much all Toronto the whole way. There was some glimmer of hope the first period. And let's go through the scoring real quick with me, buddy.
Yeah.
Uh, the Wayne train was back in town. It's nice to see Wayne Simmons, but that was about as far as it goes. Having the Leafs in town with us tonight. It started off with a name you're going to hear. Marner is going to be a name you hear a lot tonight because he has been a thorn in the side for the Flyers from the assist category. But he started with an assist to I butcher these type of names, but Calais Yarncrook, if I'm saying that right, Yarncrook.
Yeah, sounds right
Uh,
to me.
sounds right, right? To make it 1-0, he dished it right to him and put it right past Carter Hart about 10 minutes into the game. And then number two, making it 2-0, came later from Zach Aston Reese, fed to him from Holmberg, puts it right in front of the net with a turnover because the Flyers, well, as I said, being sloppy, turnover right in front of the net, puts it right past him 2-0 Toronto pretty quickly. But the Flyers don't go quietly into the good night just yet, at least. TK said, 16 seconds later, I want in on this. Marner actually is the one who turned it over in front of the pass across ice. He intercepted it. Quick shot on goal. Boom, bing, bang, boom, 2-1 Flyers. Some hope for the Fly guys at this point. TK actually extends his scoring streak to six tonight. 6 games in a row, 21 goals on the year for him. And that will be the most exciting part for Flyers fans for the rest of this conversation. The second period, it was where the mistakes really started to fly off the shelf. The Leafs made it 3-1 with Connor Timmins getting his first NHL career goal against.
Congratulations, man.
What was that?
Congratulations to that young man.
Yeah. Other than that, go pound sand. But again, the Flyers retaliate with Nick Delorier's goal from Brown. He broke a 31 game scoreless streak, making it 3-2 with the assist, like I said, from Patrick Brown. Okay, that was a Leaf sloppy play, turnover, gained us a goal. So it looked like it was going to be one of those bouncing back and forth games. But that will be about the scoring for the Philadelphia Flyers on tonight's game against the Maple Leafs. Then the Flyers on the power play, shorthanded goal. They allowed a shorthanded goal from Timothy Lejurgren. I think Lejurgren. I'm going to say that right. Uh, fourth shorthand goal of the season for the Flyers. I mean, Flyers are usually getting them. They're 8 on the season, but fourth they let up this week, and that's quickly 4-2 Toronto, and then they make it 5-2 with John Tavares scoring in the 3-hole on Carter Hart. Carter Hart did not have one of his better games, but I'm not blaming him on this one because it was sloppy play in front of him the entire time. They made it 5-2 to end the second, and then into the third, a power play for the Leafs put, again, Marner is on the assist on this one, and Austin Matthews puts on the 6-2 goal, the final dagger in the nail in the coffin, whatever you want to call it, for your orange and black attack. And one other key fact: Tony DeAngelo was benched, wasn't injured. There was no injury report. They have him still slated for tomorrow's game against the Sabres. What's your read on that, there, Matty B?
It's probably much of the same as the Kevin Hayes thing. I said it during the Kevin Hayes situation where it's not about wins and losses for John Tortorella, at least for this season. And it's not. And it's about building a culture, and it's about my way or the highway. It is about that. When he has assessed this organization and Chuck Fletcher has assessed the organization, and they found it so systemically bad with character and with accountability issues. You got to start somewhere, and you got to start at the bottom line with that. And I kind of think it's on the same lines of that.
And the key factor for tonight was, like I said, was the turnovers. That was the dagger, really what kept this team down um, the entire time.
Yeah.
The turnovers, especially in front of Carter Hart. JVR, he with the sloppy one up that gave Connor Timmons his first goal of his career. Then it just kept downward spiraling from there, and this team just could not bounce back.
Yeah, they didn't have the run in them this year, and that was one of the best. That was one of the most disparaging things tonight. They didn't even have that comeback. Typically, that's what the Flyers have done all season. They get down and they come back and they make a game of it. This game was over in the second period. When that shorthanded goal, the game was over. Like you just feel the air gets sucked right out of the Flyers. Very reminiscent of last year's version or the year before's version. Just nothing left after that. And I'm sorry, when Nick Delorier hits the score column during the game, you're doing something wrong. I mean, the guy is. It's just it's pathetic. It is what it is. We're going through the paces. We got to get to where we are. The hunt for Connor Bednard and all that. But right now there's 6 teams ahead of us for him. So let's get to work.
Yeah, and Anthony saying, laugh out loud, the real Flyers are coming back again with the laziness, not hustling, being sloppy. I don't know if we want to say laziness, but
Yeah.
sloppiness I'll take. And being outplayed is another term I would use. They were just outplayed by a much better team. I mean, a lot of the stats, the good stats that you would look at, if you're like looking at the stats but not looking at the final score, you'd be like, all right, well, maybe the Flyers played really well. I mean, Toronto had a lot more a lot more penalty minutes than the Flyers did. They couldn't capitalize on any of them. The shots on goal was 36-35 in favor of the Flyers. It was the giveaways that really killed us. We double what they did against us, and that kills you. And when you go 5 at the end of the second, I mean, this team usually is a little scrappy and has some fighting them, but like you said, man, it's tough to keep playing. And when you bench a player like Tony DeAngelo, you pretty much are saying, God, I'm not saying he's giving this one away, but he's also not allowing it to continue, I guess is a good way of putting it.
Yeah, and I really liked what you said about the overall stats. The shots for and shots against all season long, the Flyers were tilted. It was so heavily tilted in the other team's direction, but the Flyers have really addressed that over the last 6 weeks. They're only being outshot 31-29 on average per game, which is a lot better. But the stat really that kind of gets me up every night and keeps me up every night is the damn power play. Another 0 for Berger tonight, 0 for 4. 19 for 117, Big Al, on the season. That works out to about 16% effective.
I think they're tied for like 28th overall in the league in the power play, which of course, which is not where. Yeah, that's where you don't even expect a playoff run, let alone any make the playoffs, let alone a run of anything. That's one category. If you're down in that, most likely your team's going to be down in. It's very rarely a team could sustain. A team could sustain that kind of hit. They take those kind of hits in that category and play well. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like you said, they were 0 for 4 in their power plays. Maple Leafs were 1 for 2. The face-off percentage again leaned to 56-44 towards the Leafs. Like I said, but the Leafs had 10 minutes in penalty minutes compared to the 6 from the Flyers. They just couldn't capitalize. I mean, the Flyers give them this much, and then one thing, like if you want to give towards anything, definitely are a scrappier team. 41-17 when it comes to hits, but it's not just the hits. It's how pretty they are, how effective they are, and how they can cause the other team to cough up the puck, and then you take advantage of it. They're not able to take advantage, and that's where the sloppiness comes in. You see Wade Allison get called for kind of a late call on the penalty in the second where he's fighting, but he ends up get called for a tripping penalty. And it's just, you saw him, he was just poking the stick at whatever. Like, he didn't care what he hit. It didn't matter if it was skate, puck, whatever. They were just forcing, they were trying to force something to happen. And that's what happens. This team, and when a team's this bad, I don't care in any sport, it's really hard to come back from these moments. This team, I'll give them credit for the most part this season, will be scrappy. but scrappy only gets you so far. This isn't the '90s, the '80s, definitely not the '80s or the '70s,
Yeah.
where you can go out and just beat the crap out of the team in front of you and hope to keep the game keep the game uh, doable. I guess is a good way. That you got to be fast, you have to finesse, you got to be able to handle the puck, and you got to be able to create plays. And that's the other thing is these guys don't execute, and it's you've seen it again tonight. Like I'm not saying they're not. I don't know if the plays drawn up aren't working, if it's the personnel who can't pull it off, but they always seem to break down. What are your thoughts on that, Maddie?
Well, listen, you mentioned it during the scoring rundown. You know, the Mitch Marners and the Austin Matthews of the world. We don't have that. We don't have Mitch Marner or Austin Matthews. We don't even have John Matthews and Pete Marner, for God's sakes. I mean, we got nothing, and we don't got Draisaitl. We don't got McDavid. We don't got Backstrom and Ovechkin, Malkin and Crosby. You see the theme here. We don't have that, and talent's going to rise to the top in the NHL. As you mentioned, you're not going to beat anybody up anymore at this level. The St. Louis Blues run of a couple of years ago was lightning in the bottle. It doesn't happen consistently, and the Flyers just are not properly constructed. And we knew that going in, and it's part of the frustration. But yet, it's also part of, and I've said this on the show, it's part of the relief that we're out of the phase of denial and we're moving forward, hopefully, to bigger and better days. And Connor Bednard is the guy's name. Of course, everybody's talking about tonight. He returned to this WHL team, the Regina Pats, put up 6 points. Big Al in his first game back. Is now a plus 17 and 70 points through 30 games of major junior hockey. So that's a start in the right direction as a guy like that. But you're absolutely right. They're just not constructed correctly, and they're not going to be able to compete with those teams.
And hopefully he's the step in the right direction. And we know how the lottery works now. And I know we're focusing on tonight's game and not so much the future. But our boy Freddie Burns was commenting and. Great loss. Go Flyers, keep it up. And we laugh. And, we're a different Philadelphia group in the sense that we're okay for tanking. If this was 15, 20 years ago, if anybody even talked about tanking, you would be, hung up by your shoelaces somewhere. But yeah, that's the only hope we have. What do you have to work with? Like I said, you have a young goalie in Carter Hart. You don't have any, you have you have Travis Konechny when he plays well. But that's about it. Those two you can't lean on enough. You can't lean on. And then Travis Konechny isn't like an Ovechkin or somebody who's going to be constant thorn in somebody's side. He's going to have good streaks. He's going to play well, but nothing to work around. No. And let's be honest, half this team won't be on an NHL team, and if they are, they're fifth liners and sixth liners. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you mentioned TK. All TK and listen, I love the turnaround, bounce back here, keep scoring, drive up your trade value, and that's exactly what we got to look at when it comes to TK, when it comes to Provorov, when it comes to Hayes, when it comes to really everybody on this team, with maybe the exception of your Morgan Frost or your Joel Farabees, the guys that that are going to be still young 3 or 4 years from now when this thing finally does turn around. So keep going, TK. I love the turnaround. He's having a great year under John Tortorella.
Yeah, and maybe getting him out of here is good for him too. Maybe he's playing his way out. Like he's, I'm going to earn my contract. I'm maybe, fine. I'll get traded. Like maybe they saw what they saw with Claude Giroux and said, okay, maybe it's just what's best for me. Because even if you get a Johnny Hockey, if you brought a Johnny Hockey in or a Bednard in next year, that's not make or break. That doesn't turn this team around and make them all suddenly a contender. You still have to put pieces around them, and you have contracts that are weighing you down. One of them, JVR, he was one of the reasons that the first score came about. He'll have a good game, and then he'll have 5 sloppy games behind it. And like I said, I used to be a big JVR fan. I even dusted off the jersey the other night when he scored a little bit. But ultimately, that was about it. It's kind of coming back down to reality in the sense for the Flyers. They played against a good Kings team, but even good teams have nights off. But after that, who they play? They play the Coyotes,
Anaheim, Arizona.
They didn't play anybody to write home about.
Teams that are actually worse than the Flyers in Arizona and Anaheim. They're actually statistically worse than the Flyers are. So, yeah, right.
Yeah, and we're doing them a favor by beating them.
Yeah, they're getting higher draft stock.
and it doesn't help. And speaking of, an Ovechkin, we're going to be seeing him twice this week coming up. Tomorrow night, the Flyers got to turn it right around. They're traveling out to Buffalo to take on the Sabres. And then Wednesday and Saturday, they have a home and away against the Capitals, both those nights. And I mean, the Sabres are an okay, okay team, but the Capitals are playing some good hockey. And, and then they go right into the Boston Bruins the following Monday. So I don't. I think this is going to be go from a 4-game winning streak to a possible 3 out of 4 game losing streak if at best at this point. Anthony saying JVR is hockey's Tobias Harris. I don't even know if he's that good, dude.
I love that. No, that's great. That's a awesome. When you start talking about trading him, he starts to play well. Have you noticed that when it comes to JVR? The same thing with Tobias.
Yeah, but at least when you can get good games out of Tobias, you get good flashes in game from JVR, but then he's milk carton, material. So I think Tobias Harris is a great key cog, but with a high contract on the Sixers. I think JVR is just a high contract on the Sixers that they just can't unload. He would have been unloaded so many times by now. But yeah, I can see the comparison about all the trade talks. Every time trades come up, the first thing people say is get rid of JVR and get rid of his contract.
Hat trick the next night. Yeah. No, I listen. We've said it all season long. We're going to continue to say it. It is unfortunate, but it is what it is, and there's nothing it can be done other than what's happening. But now going forward, it's about how we maneuver ourselves. Sean Couturier should be coming back from the IR in about a month. Do we even bother playing him this year? Or we just let him sit for a year. Is it even that?
I mean, with having neck surgery, I say you let him heal.
Yeah,
because all you're going to do is either get him hurt. Yeah. And then if you want to trade him, you're not going to get anything out of it. So no, I at this point just keep letting these young guys try and see if there's some diamond in the rough type situation for it, but I just don't see it. But what I do see is great savings at Sherry'sTickets.com. Sherry'sTickets.com is family owned and operated since 1946, but this is where Philly fans go for sports, concerts, and theater tickets because you know what, Matt? When you go to the website and you pick out the game or the event you want to go to, you pick out your seats and you click on checkout, you're not going to get a surprise $150 fees or something at the end of it. The price you see on the screen is the price you're going to get. And for an additional 10% off, all you have to do is type in EOP10 in the promo code section and you will save at Sherry'sTickets.com. So if you wanted to go to the Eagles game today, you could have had a great seats, great price. And watch the Eagles clinch the first overall seed in the NFC by simply going to Sherry'sTickets.com. Also announced tonight, I know you were part of this announcement, Matty B, the Birds Ultimate Arizona Trip Part 2, because, yes, they were out in Arizona earlier, but the Philly Sports Trips are going to send you guys back out this time. Possible Super Bowl trip if the Eagles make it. And the fun part about this is there's no risk for you. You could sign up for the trip, you can get in for the trip, and possibly go watch the Eagles if they go to the Super Bowl. But you're going, hey, Al, what about for some odd reason they don't make it? 100% fully refundable deposits for the trip. There is no risk for this. It's all reward. Put your deposit in. And if they end up going to the Super Bowl, you'll get tickets. You'll get the whole kit and caboodle that comes with PhillySportsTrips.com. And if they for whatever reason don't make it, you get your deposit 100% fully guaranteed back. Only at PhillySportsTrips.com. Because you won't need a lawyer to sue them to get your money back. But you will need if you get hurt at work, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, criminal law. David R. Cherry is the man, 610-565-0300, or simply go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Listen, life happens, Matty B.
Yes, it does.
People can get hurt at work, car accidents happen. It's wintertime, iciness is coming, things happen, and you need to protect your rights and for somebody to fight for rights and help you get better and get what's due to you. And guess what? Dave Cherry is the man. And if you can't make it to the game and you're staying local, you go to Dolan's Bar to watch your great Eagles games and Flyers games and anything else of that matter, because you never know who's going to be there. Always great food, especially during the Eagles games. The wing steak, the cheese steaks, amazing. The Big D, one of the amazing cheesesteaks you'll ever eat. Great drink specials, memorabilia giveaways, you name it, they got it. Dolan's. Just an amazing place to be. Matty B, and I know I still owe you a time at Dolan's with one of those great cheesesteaks. I keep
I
telling
do.
you.
Yeah, I want a wing cheesesteak too.
All right, we'll make it happen.
Is it
PJ will
like
make.
is it like chopped up chicken? I mean, how does that? What is
I'm
it?
I'm going to send you a picture later because I'm waiting for PJ to send me one of the ones they cooked today. So you
Okay,
could my words won't do it justice.
I'm sure it won't. I'm looking forward to it.
You need to look at it, then get a chance to smell it, hold it, eat it, and it's just delicious. Um, and like I said, you never know who's going to hang out there. And just the people who do hang out there is a good time. But like I said, your Flyers fall 6-2 to the Maple Leafs, which you know they're in a good division. They got the only team right above them right now is Boston because Boston's playing some amazing hockey right now, and the only team that can make the Maple Leafs look like a number 2 team. They've got an all around good team, and I did not. I was not. I was hoping for a good fight, not a 6-2, beatdown. But it is what it is. Um, so let's look around the league real quick. I'm gonna go give you guys around the league real quick here today. The Canucks fell to the Jets 7-4. The Dallas Stars walloped the Panthers 5-1. The Caps beat the Blue Jackets 1-0. The Blues beat the Wilds 3-0. And OT, the Blackhawks, they get a W over the Flames. The Penguins beat the Coyotes 4-1. Of course, right now, still going on. The Bruins are playing the Ducks in Anaheim. About 8 minutes left in the second, but Boston's up 3-1, and of course, like we all know, Maple Leafs beat up on the Flyers 6-2. So that is around the league right now. I'm not going to even get in the standings because it just doesn't matter at this point. We're going to be looking for them to be the lowest of the low and get them ping pong balls because that's what we're going to be wanting from this team
Yep.
at the end of the year.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add in there, Matty B?
Nah, just keep the faith, Flyers fans. Listen, I understand it's been trying. I understand it's been daunting, and I understand it's been frustrating. And really, it's not this season; it's last season. It's really since the bubble of the 2020 season. And I understand that nobody really feels your pain more than I do. But you just gotta believe. That's all you can do at this time. You got to believe that we're going to get out of this. There's going to be moves being made before the end of the season. Unfortunately, though, as we all know, the trade deadline moves are not really that beneficial to the team that is sending players back to the other teams because nobody wants to upset their balance for the playoff push. But there's going to be some moves made, minor moves that might be big time draft moves, positioning in the draft and all that. But you just got to stay positive. And we're at game 40. So tomorrow is game 41. That's the halfway point. We're almost there. So just hang in there. And it's for the most part, it's been competitive hockey. It really has. The Flyers have been a competitive team. Tonight was not one of those nights, but they, for the most part, have been competitive.
I think the best way to describe this team over the years to this point of 41 games is streaky. They came out streaky. They came out hot looking, and they fell off. They had their notorious 10-plus losing streak at one point. Then, of course, they go on a 4-game win streak, and everybody's excited. Which, I mean, that's the thing is like it's such a tough thing to just sit here and go, "Oh, let's lose," because when you lose or tank or whatever, it's never going to be pretty. And here's the thing: here's a stat they just put up: season high 4 giveaways for D'Angelo, hence the benching.
Yeah.
So, but my point is, it's hard to say, "Hey, go enjoy this." It's a competitive hockey. At the same time, it's also tough to watch at times. So tonight's a tough game to watch. Even a couple of losses before, they're still put up 4 goals. It was the defense that was letting down. And the defense, again, was a key factor in it. It was just the sloppy turnovers in front of the net. I know a lot of people were kind of banging their chest about Carter Hart being a problem tonight. No, those guys, they blocked his view. If you slow some of the game tape down, they blocked his view. They had some sniper shots from out, all by the blue line, close to the blue line, we should say. But ultimately, I don't care who's in that. You're not going to get past that with turnovers and everything. So, I mean, Carter Hart didn't have his best game, but also I put half those goals on Carter Hart's back, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
no, I agree. Listen, Carter's been he's been streaky this season, and I know it's a combination of defense that's in front of him, but there have been goals that make me kind of scratch my head about him. I think the goal you were alluding to is right off the face-off. That goal that came from the point.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's an NHL goalie should be able to make that stop 9 times out of 10, and maybe Carter Hart does make that stop 9 times out of 10. Yes, he was screened, but once again, Carter has that tendency, especially on that short side. He goes into that butterfly just a little too soon, exposing that top shoulder, and teams have obviously picked up on that over the years. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm not going to put this on Carter Hart, but he's also, and I know I'm on this hill too. I stand on a lot of hills by myself, but I'm on the Carter Hart trade hill. Not that I want to trade him, but he is not. I repeat, not off the table. He is
I don't think
definitely
anybody's untouchable. I mean, it just depends on, like I said, I think almost anybody's tradable on any sport, depending on what the haul is.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And where you're at. Like, somebody came and say, "Hey, we'll offer you all this stuff for Jalen Hurts for the Eagles." No, because you'll be setting yourself back. But my point is, no matter what you get, but in this case, if you're going for a Bednard, if you're going for a rebuild, Carter Hart could still be young enough and seasoned enough to play for years after. But other than that, TK will be probably too old to be useful at that point.
Overall,
Provorov, all those guys will be in their 30s and later. Now, listen, I know a lot of these guys go, but remember, they start playing at 20 and 21 and 22. So that means they already have a decade plus under NHL experience. So that means the wear and tear has been put, and those skates have dulled a little bit.
yeah.
But yeah, listen, the 3-hole was a problem and has been a problem for Carter Hart. So, and you're right, people know the book is out on him. But when the defense is in front of them is playing as bad, I mean, it's easy to expose those said holes. But
it absolutely is. But and I mentioned the whole trade deadline thing. I don't know if I'm going to trade him at the trade deadline because some team may think they're a goaltender away and offer me a haul and draft potential. I don't know if I wait to the summer. It's definitely just going to be Chuck Fletcher. Hopefully, it doesn't screw it up. But
that also plays a huge factor in the situation.
Yes, absolutely. But Carter Hart is definitely on the table. And then a shout out, real quick, out to the Team USA. They just finished up the IIHF World Junior Under 20 World Championships up there in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. And Team USA got the bronze. Not what we were looking for. Some questionable calls in the semifinal game against Canada. USA had 2 goals disallowed because of goalie interference. I don't know what planet that was goalie interference. Neither one of those goals was, but whatever. I'll take it. But congratulations to Cutter Gauthier as well. He's the Flyers prospect playing for Boston College. Had himself a decent tournament, a little inconsistent, but he definitely showed why he is projected to be the player he's going to be, hopefully for us, starting in the spring if he comes after his college season's over with. So shout out to Team USA.
I mean, that's all you can look to as, when the Phillies were bad, looking at the minor leagues was like, okay, hopefully the future's bright. And that's the thing is, you said it before, it's the Chuck Fletcher, it's the management, it's the team behind them, or the team behind the team that really makes me nervous. Like, are they going to make the right decisions? Are they going to put the right guys in front of them? I feel like right before Christmas over the last 2 years, there's always these rumors flying around that Chuck Fletcher's going to come in, Briere's going to take over. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about any of that stuff. Like, it's just like, devil you know, devil you don't know. But I mean, the one thing I do know is I don't want Chuck Fletcher here.
No, and neither do I. It's to a certain aspect, but unfortunately, I think he's here for at least a couple more seasons because there's no way he didn't go into Dave Scott's office back in like May and say, "Listen, Dave, I know you said the blank check thing, but that was stupid. Here's the reality of it. Here's what we need to do. Here's my plan of doing it. Are you on board with this? If not, I'll just leave now." And I think that's a conversation to that effect had to have happen because there's no other way to explain the route they went this summer other than the fact that this is what they were going for, a long-term, not a short-term, but a long-term rebuild, not retool.
I mean, if I'm Chuck Fletcher and I'm trying to save my job, that's what I'm selling you on.
Yeah.
If you're the owner and I'm Chuck Fletcher and I'll walk in your office and be, listen, we don't got anything. Team's garbage.
Horrible contracts.
Let's just chip away at this team and rebuild. And in my eyes, buys you 2 or 3 years unless he makes some real bad moves. So I would imagine that's what he said, but they will never admit to it.
No, but that's exactly what happened because that's the only way that I can justify his presence here. Now the contract, the 8-year extension of Travis Sanheim, head scratcher. The bringing Delory in on a 4-year deal, major head scratcher. The 5-year extension to Risto, extremely major head scratcher. But these could be moves made for the future. Risto is he's a bottom line. He's the third, fourth pairing extra D guy. I mean, he's somebody you can definitely have on your team. He's good on the PK for the most part. DeLorean provides that little edge that the Flyers are going to need on that fourth line. I can see how he talked Dave Scott into some of those moves, but it had to have been a conversation of, this is what has to happen. This is my plan. If you're not on board, I understand. Just fire me now because it's not going to get any better. And there's no other way I can fix it.
I mean, I would have hoped they would have just fired him now because he was a lot of that. I mean, he gets to blame Hextall a little bit, but a lot of that stuff was. Most of this has been his problem.
Yeah,
I don't understand signing anybody more than 3 years at this point, unless they in the off season sign a Johnny Hockey or some really good talent, young talent that can be around for a while. But yeah, I don't understand signing anybody for a long term 8-year contract, 5-year contract when this team is, and maybe he believed the BS he was feeding people that we were a couple good pieces away or whatever it is. Because to me that is not that's nowhere where they're at.
No.
And you brought up something early just a few moments ago that just think about it. I mean, 2020 for what it was before the shutdown of everything. Flyers were playing some good hockey. Good young guys. There's a lot of guys that are still on the team. The other guys are not on the team. They shut down. You're like, oh man, they look good. They look poised to play some good hockey. They went in the bubble and they just started beating up on teams early on. The round robin, all that stuff. Got so excited. Then exposed was like the key word I think I could use in this situation. The Islanders just beat us up. We had no finesse and we had no
speed.
We had no speed and we had no strength. They were just beating us up. It was like reverse what Flyers hockey. We were just getting beat up and we couldn't keep our heads above water at that part. And from there on, it's just been downhill.
It has been. And I heard a little rumor that you were actually in the press box at the center on the final game before the season was shut down. Is there some coincidence to the struggles of the Flyers and that? How do you think?
If you want to blame me, if that makes you feel better, Matty B, I'll take the blame. I didn't know my last name changed to Fletcher in the last 30 seconds, but fine, I'll take the blame. No, it was. I was in the press box for the final game at the Wells Fargo Center right before the shutdown. And like I said, the team was alive. I'm in the locker room. I'm interviewing guys post game, having a good time talking to these guys, and they were loose. They were happy, like they looked poised. And now, if they kept playing, if there was no shutdown, if COVID never occurred, would it made a difference? Or would they just got exposed and then, would they been exposed earlier, just like they got exposed later, or did it give people enough time to figure it all out? I don't know, but. Whatever that team, that lightning in the bottle that team had at the time, it's been gone for some time, and they have been just trying to use bubble gum and popsicle sticks to keep this team alive. And when you play real teams like you did tonight against the Maple Leafs, real contenders for a cup,
that's the result.
This is the result you're going to get, and it's tough because Flyers hockey, for what it was, except for the last 10 years maybe. They were always a conversation. They were at least getting in the playoffs. They were putting up fights in the playoffs. I wouldn't say they were in the playoffs every year, but for the most part, they were in the discussion.
Yeah, they were in the most part.
And into the 90s, into the early 2000s, and then like after 2010, kind of just they just kind of got worse. And then here comes Hextall, who turned the Kings around, made them look good. Won a cup with them using a couple of our former players, but we thought he was going to be the second coming of Jesus, and he just came and left. Not even a note, not even a thank you, just wham bam, and just apparently was an issue. But that's a whole other conversation for another day. But this team, it's hard to watch, but keep watching, because the one thing I try to do when I watch games like this, I really focus in on the young guys. I'm not watching TK I'm not watching Provy as much. I'm watching the Wade Allisons of the world.
Joe Farabee, the Morgan
Joe
Frost.
Farabee, yeah, Frost. Frost is one I keyed in a lot on tonight. And see what we can see for them, because those guys would be guys you can build,
Yep.
use as building pieces, not build around, but building pieces.
Yeah, they are the future.
Yeah, so just that, if you want to find something, that's something you look at. But guys, like I said, this amazing post game show was brought to you by Sherry'sTickets.com. That's right, Sherry's Tickets. With the price you see on the screen is the price you pay. Family owned and operated since 1946. Great sporting events, concert events, theater events, you name it, they got it. No hidden fees at checkout, and you save an additional 10% off using the promo code EOP10. Just announced tonight, with the Eagles locking up the number 1 seed, 2 home games away from being in the Super Bowl. The big game, I guess, because we can be careful. We're not going to get in trouble for using the big term. But the Philly Sports Trips are putting it out there. You can get your deposit back 100% refundable if they, for some reason, trip up and don't make it to the Super Bowl this year. So there is, if you want to go to the Super Bowl and you're like, I only want to go, the Eagles go, but I can't put the money out for it, it's too risky, whatever it is, this is the chance to not take any risk at all. PhillySportsTrips.com, fully refundable deposit. Go there, sign up for it now, lock yourself in, and if the Eagles go, you go, and you get to hopefully watch history in the making. And don't forget, David Archerry's your man. Get hurt at work, hurt in a car accident, personal injury anywhere, slip and falls, criminal law, you name it, he got you covered. He will fight for your rights, fight for your justice. CherryInjuryLaw.com, 610-565-0300. Dave Cherry is the man, and go to CherryInjuryLaw.com. And don't forget, Big D, the Dolans, 24 East Sellers Avenue, Ridley Park, 19078, right in Delco, right off 95. So you're coming from Philly, Delaware, off the bridge into New Jersey, you can get to Dolans real quickly. Memorabilia giveaways during the games, great drink specials, $8 cheesesteaks and wing steaks, and even the new one, the Big D. And then even during the other games, other times, there's fun things going on at Dolans, and just a great crowd, great people there at all times. I want to thank you, Matty B, for joining me tonight.
Hey, it's a pleasure being a guest on my own show. I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then we'll be having an article put out for you at one point. Our boy Mike Galaro is putting out the article for the covering for whatever you missed. He will cover it for you. And we enjoyed you. We'll be back tomorrow for a post-game show with the fight, or with the fighting spot, with Clear the Ice following the Flyers Sabres game. And I'm Big Al.
Matty B.
And we out.